Section 10. Broker Supervision and Control. Arizona Commissioner's Standards, Requirements for Licensees. Introduction. Who's really responsible? Jessica always thought being a broker meant more freedom, more control, more opportunity. But after stepping into a leadership role, she quickly realized something different. Being a broker doesn't just give you authority, it gives you responsibility for everyone else's actions. Every contract written, every ad posted, every client interaction, it all traces back to the broker. This section is where agents begin to understand one of the most important concepts in Arizona real estate. Supervision is not optional. It is the backbone of compliance. What broker supervision really means. Under Arizona law, an employing broker and designated broker must exercise reasonable supervision and control over all licensed and unlicensed individuals working under them. This means brokers are not just running a business. They are managing risk, ensuring compliance, and protecting the public. Supervision includes creating and enforcing written policies, procedures, and systems that guide how the brokerage operates. These systems are designed to ensure that every transaction, every document, and every action taken by an agent meets legal and professional standards. Jessica realized quickly that a strong brokerage is not built on production alone. It is built on structure and oversight. Real-world example. I didn't know my agent did that. A broker had a top-producing agent who handled most of their own deals. One day, a complaint came in. Documents were missing, disclosures were incomplete, and timelines were ignored. The broker's first reaction was, I didn't know they were doing that. But under Arizona law, that doesn't matter. The broker is responsible for the acts of all agents acting within the scope of their employment. This is one of the biggest wake-up calls for brokers. Lack of knowledge is not a defense. Supervision must be active, not passive. Key areas of broker supervision. Broker supervision covers several critical areas that must be consistently monitored. These include reviewing and managing transactions that require a license, ensuring proper use of disclosure forms and contracts, and overseeing employment agreements. Brokers must also manage document storage and record keeping, handle trust funds properly, and supervise the use of unlicensed assistants. Delegation is allowed, but responsibility is not transferable. Another key responsibility is ensuring that all agents understand and follow federal, state, and local laws related to real estate practice. This includes ongoing education, training, and communication within the brokerage. Advertising and marketing must also be reviewed and monitored to ensure compliance with Arizona regulations. Even a simple social media post can create liability if it violates advertising rules. Jessica realized that every system she put in place, transaction review, document tracking, training, was not just operational, it was legal protection. Compensation disclosure, transparency is required. Under Arizona Administrative Code R4-28701, a broker must disclose to all parties in a transaction, in writing before closing, the name of each employing broker who represents a party and will receive compensation. This ensures transparency in the transaction and prevents hidden relationships or undisclosed compensation structures. In today's market, where compensation conversations are evolving, this requirement is more important than ever. Advising clients. Know when to bring in experts. A salesperson or broker is required to recommend that clients seek advice from professionals such as legal, tax, insurance, and accounting experts when appropriate. This is a key part of risk management. Agents are not expected to be experts in every field, but they are expected to recognize when a situation requires additional expertise. Jessica had a transaction involving a complex tax situation. Instead of guessing, she recommended that her client speak with a tax professional. That decision protected both her client and her license. Occupancy and possession, a high-risk area. One of the most overlooked areas of supervision involves occupancy and possession. A licensee cannot allow a third party to occupy a property without prior written authorization, and possession cannot be delivered before closing unless expressly instructed by the owner. These situations often come up in real life, buyers wanting early access, sellers allowing temporary occupancy, but they carry significant risk if not handled properly. This is where brokers must ensure agents are following clear policies and obtaining proper documentation. Delegation without losing control. Brokers can delegate tasks to others, including staff and assistants, but they cannot delegate responsibility. The designated broker remains ultimately responsible for supervision and control of all activities within the brokerage. This means systems must be in place to monitor activity, review transactions, and ensure compliance at all levels. Jessica learned that delegation without oversight is one of the fastest ways to create liability. Reporting violations. Acting immediately matters. If a designated broker becomes aware of a violation of real estate laws or rules, they must report it to ADRI immediately. If they do so, they may avoid disciplinary action for failure to supervise. However, failing to report known violations can result in serious consequences for the broker as well as the agent involved. This includes issues such as unethical behavior, fraud, or even workplace violations like harassment. The key is immediate action. Delays can turn a manageable issue into a major compliance problem. Bringing it all together, leadership is liability. Broker supervision is not just about managing people, it is about managing risk. Every policy, every review process, every training session is designed to protect the brokerage, the agents, and the public. Jessica realized that being a broker meant stepping into a role where success is not measured just by closings, but by compliance, consistency, and control. The best brokers are not the ones who trust their agents blindly. They are the ones who build systems that make compliance automatic. Because in Arizona real estate, supervision is not just leadership, it is the law. Online discussion 1. Why is a broker held responsible for the actions of their agents even if they were unaware of the behavior? Answer. Because Arizona law requires brokers to exercise reasonable supervision and control, meaning they are accountable for ensuring compliance regardless of direct knowledge. 2. What is the biggest risk of failing to properly supervise agents within a brokerage? Answer. The biggest risk is legal liability and disciplinary action from ADRA, which can impact both the broker and the brokerage's reputation and operations. 3. Why is it important for brokers to recommend outside professionals to clients? Answer. Because brokers are not experts in all fields, and recommending qualified professionals helps protect clients and reduces the risk of liability for the licensee.